It took 6 hours of explosions and unbreakable hardening for Bakugou and Kirishima to realize that while they're built for the battlefield, they're currently failing the basic human being requirements of their own relationship. Recovery Girl doesn't just heal them, she issues a mandatory 48-hour, no quirk house arrest. The training ground smelled like scorched earth and sweat. He'd been watching them for the past 20 minutes from the edge of the field, your water bottle hanging loose in your hand as Bakugo and Kirishima ran drills on the far end. It was supposed to be a light session. Recover Girl had even said so, standing at the door of the infirmary with her arms crossed and her voice pointed like a finger. Light session. Neither of them had listened. Bakugo never listened anyway. That was just his nature. Hot-blooded and incapable of doing anything halfway. But Kirishima should have known better. He'd been the one who always tempered the worst of Bakugo's excesses, the gentle pressure that kept everything from boiling over, except when it came to training. When it came to that, the two of them fed off each other like a feedback loop. Each push met with a harder one, each limit reached, and then blown past with a grin. You watched Kirishima harden his forearm and take a full explosion to the chest, skidding back across the cracked concrete on his heels. Smoke rose from his torso, and he laughed. Again, Bakugou said. Hey, you don't have to ask me twice. Idiots, you thought, with the kind of fondness that ached a little. He'd been dating both of them for 7 months, a thing that had happened slowly and then all at once, the way most true things did. It had started with you and Kirishima, then you and Bakugo separately, and then a long and surprisingly calm conversation between the three of you in the common room at 2 in the morning, where Bakugo had said, flat as pavement, "You don't have to give up either of us, so you can figure it out." As if the logistics of that situation were your problem to solve. He'd figured it out, and now he watched them spar and felt the anxiety of loving people who were reckless about themselves. Bakugo launched another blast, and Kirishima caught it with both hands, grunting low with effort. His hardening flickered, just for a second, just a shimmer at the edges, and that was the first thing that made you straighten up. Quirk fluctuation. That only happened when someone was running out of fuel. You capped your water bottle and started walking toward them. Hey, you called out. How long have you two been out there? Since 6, Kirishima called back, shaking out his hands. His grin was bright, but there was shadows under his eyes that hadn't been there at breakfast. You checked your phone. It was almost noon. 6 hours, you said flatly. We took a water break, Bakugo said, without looking at you. He was rolling his shoulders, working out some kind of tension in there. Stop hovering. I am not. I'm walking toward you with a very specific concern. Same thing. You stopped a few feet away from them, looking between their faces properly now. Kirishima had that particular brightness to him that came right before a crash. Flushed cheeks, eyes a little glassy, the kind of energy that was actually the last flicker before a candle went out. Bakugo was paler than usual, which on him looked almost wrong. And his jaw was set in that way he got when he was fighting through something he refused to acknowledge. Drink something, you said, both of you, right now. We're in the middle of Katsuki. His eyes finally cut to you. Something in your voice must have reached through, because he stopped arguing and reached for the water bottle at the edge of the field. Kirishima followed suit, and for a few minutes, there was nothing but the sound of them drinking and the distant noise of other students somewhere on campus. And then Kirishima sat down on the ground, not lowered himself, not crouched, sat down, hard, like his legs had quickly resigned. Iji? He moved toward him immediately. I'm fine, he said, but his voice had gone soft, in a way it never was. He pressed the back of his wrist to his forehead. Just got a little. He didn't finish the sentence. His eyes closed, and then he was listing sideways, and you barely caught him, dropping to your knees on the concrete, with his head against your shoulder. Your heart was hammering. Kirishima. You patted his cheek with 2 fingers. Ijiro, hey. What the? Bakugou was beside you in 2 seconds, and for once, there was nothing performative about the alarm on his face. He's out. I can see that, you said, keeping your voice level, even though everything in your chest was anything but. Bakugou. And then he sat down too, not with the same graceful collapse as Kirishima. Bakugou's version was more controlled, him lowering himself deliberately to the ground. His head tipped back, his eyes stayed open but went unfocused. I'm not passing out, he announced to the sky. You just sat down involuntarily. I sat down on purpose. Your hands are shaking. A pause. He looked at his hands. They were in fact shaking, the fine tremor of someone whose body had been producing some nitroglycerin-based sweat for 6 hours and was now tapping its reserves. His nitroglycerin levels dropped when he was depleted, and they dropped too far. You're going to make yourself sick, you said. Both of you. What were you thinking? Tournaments in 2 weeks, Bakugou said. Yes. I love you both, and I need you to understand that I mean it in an aggressively frustrated way right now. Something shifted in Bakugou's face. He wasn't a soft man, would never be, but there were moments where you could see through to the part of him that needed things, that was grateful for things, even if he'd rather bite off his own tongue than say so. He'll be fine. We just pushed that. I know that he'll be fine. You'd better be too. I'm always fine. You're sitting on the ground and shaking. He didn't argue with that. He shifted Kirishima, so his head rested more comfortably in your lap, and then he reached out and caught Bakugou's trembling hand in yours. You're calling recovery girl. You're calling recovery girl, he replied. I'm holding both of you. He looked at Kirishima and then at your hand. Fine. Call her. Or give me your phone. And so you did. And when Kirishima came back around 5 minutes later, blinking up at you with drowsy, confused eyes and a soft hey pretty that made Bakugou cough, you decided that the terror of watching them fall was worth it every single time for moments like this. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you liked this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and goodbye.